submit to you that you should go read each and every one of them yourself. As I think in the letter that I sent to you, I addressed, the Facebook page was based on, in my opinion, blatant misinformation about the entire process. I could point out about every sentence of what that page was about had something that was wrong and inaccurate about what was trying to be done, how it was going to be paid for, what the level of support was. The Facebook page is anonymous. I sat here 3 weeks ago and was not in a very good mood when the board concluded the meeting because of the board's insistence on following the letter of the policy. I understand that a little better now as to why the board did what it did. That policy does not allow anonymous, unnamed individuals to offer an opinion, period. And that's what all but about 9 or 10 of the entries on the Facebook page are. And what from the larger picture, I just like the board, as they listen to people's comments, to listen as to whether people are speaking for what's in the best interest of the school going forward, enrollment at the school, the ability for the school to service the needs of the children that are there right now and going forward, or whether they're talking about things that are in their own best interest, their memories of the school, what they'd like to see based on their investment years ago when they went there. To me, I feel for people that have a strong emotional attachment to where they went to school 10 or 20 or 40 years ago, but that's not all that important as we sit here today. What's important as we sit here today is that we have a viable school that's going to go forward and provide a place that kids can go and they can learn. I think the board knows full well that that question is yet to be answered as to Squaw Peak before the FLI program, which, by the way, was not started by Dr. Wessel. Dr. Wessel said no and gave the parents with that idea some other schools that might be interested in starting that program. That program was started by parents. Okay? So I guess that's my view. I would just encourage you, as people make their comments, to think about where they're coming from in terms of, is it what's best for the school, or is it what's best for them and their memories of the school? Thanks.
Thank you. David Zook. Am I pronouncing your last name right, sir?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, and Dr. Boyle and Dr. Wagner. My name is David Zook. I've got 2 students at Squaw Peak, one a 3rd grader and one a kindergartner in the FLY program. Live at 3517 East Meadowbrook Avenue. I'm against the name change. I thank you for receiving my letter and considering it, the one dated August 23rd. I'd like to add 2 points to it. The first is that I believe that history is important. There was a decision made by the school board back in the early to mid-'80s that really divided the Squaw Peak community. That decision was to turn Creighton Elementary School into Creighton Middle School. Make it a 7th and 8th grade school, and then all the other schools would feed into it. It was controversial at the time. The board decided to approve it. 3 years ago, when we were doing our research about what the community would want for Squaw Peak in that area, one of the things that we heard time and again from community members who still live in the neighborhood and experienced that was the point that they could point their finger to as for the demise of Squaw Peak School. Now, there's lots of other things that happened in subsequent years to make that a reality, but they could point back as that was the turning point. The point tonight is that there's a lot of controversy with this name change, with the district, with the school right now. My question to you is, not knowing if you decide to make the name change, not knowing how that will ignite any more controversy and whether that will drive a wedge ever so small into a community that has a tremendous amount of momentum or not. The second point that I would like to make is the fact that the transient nature of our society. The National Board of Realtors has did a survey, and they said that every family moves on average 5.5 years from one home to another. And I believe that is the reason why we need to bring in the community in a larger, grander scale to get the feelings of the community rather than just the feelings of a few parents, including myself. We may not be at Squaw Peak in 3 years. Some of these parents who are for it may not be at Squaw Peak in 3 or 4 years. But if they decide to change the name, it's going to be very hard to change the name again in the future. So I would urge the board to consider, when you deliberate, the best interests of the community and have the community interests at heart, because those are the folks who will be here 5, 10, 20 years from now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tyler Abrams.
Good evening, thanks for your time. Tyler Abrahams, I live at 4718 North 35th Street. I very much agree with Mr. Shamblin and Mr. Zook. My position is I strongly favor the name change, but I believe they're both talking to the same point, and that's the idea of history versus forward-looking. I have an 11-week-old daughter, it's my first, so I'm in the camp that's interested in the future of the local elementary school. I don't favor the name. I think Squaw Peak is a very offensive name, and I'm favorable towards Biltmore. But I think the important thing the board keep in mind, in addition to my written email, which I hope you've all had a chance to read, is the idea of looking forward. And those who oppose the name change want to look backward. But Mr. Zook put it perfectly. There is an enormous amount of momentum at the moment going forward, and you can't really square put that together with looking backward. You're either looking forward and trying to improve the school going forward, or you're looking backward and trying to uphold a personal heritage. Personally, I don't have that heritage, and I love my middle school, but it would not, traumatize me if that name were changed. I think many people agree with that. It's just not a traumatic moment. I have a strong connection to my local elementary school growing up, and it's just not a personal connection to me that the name never changed, especially in consideration of where we stand today, the importance of marketing our local schools. I believe the board's pretty well versed on that. The other point I wanted to raise that I didn't have a chance to put in my email is just the idea of precedent. There is precedent for the board disregarding the name change procedure. And if the board is inclined, I believe the board is capable of doing that here tonight. If the board believes that the procedure wasn't followed to the letter that it believes necessary. On the other hand, if the school name change committee is cut off at this point based on the perception of an improper procedure, that sets a dangerous precedent going forward for any opportunity that the board may disagree with the committee, just unilaterally declaring, oh, we have a complicated or ambiguous procedure here. We've got to halt this process, reconsider, and shuffle the deck again. I find that precedent particularly disturbing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Renee Shamblin.
Good evening. My name is Renee Shamblin. I'm a mom. I live at 3525 East Highland Avenue, and I have 2 kids who attend SPTA. One's in kindergarten and one's in the 1st grade. And I spoke at the last meeting. I don't want to belabor the point, but just a couple of points that I would like to make. I think the controversy of the name change has been blown out of proportion. Our committee selected this name through a process. Nobody entered that committee with the same name that we walked out with. It was a collaborative effort. We all came up with different ideas, and at the end of the day, we selected, we made a choice. We went through the district's written policy. We made numerous efforts to obtain input from the school parents and from the community. I wrote a letter to the board where I detailed the extent of those efforts. I think you can identify at least 12 different opportunities where we reached out to the community to advise them of the process, or they had an opportunity to provide their input. At the end of the day, there was 89% of the school and parent community in support of the name change. Over 200 input forms were turned in. And when you're looking at a school our size, that is a pretty impressive number. So I don't think there is a lot of, I think the controversy over the disagreement here has been blown out of proportion because there really is a small minority of people who are making it seem as if there's a lot of controversy, but in reality, we had 89% of the school and community parents support the name change. And you're never going to get 100% agreement on a proposed school name. So I think the numbers we got are overwhelming. The other point I'd like to make is with respect to the name. The Biltmore is within our school boundaries. I identified about 10 different residential subdivisions within our school boundaries that have Biltmore within their name. You know, we shouldn't be ignoring those people. They're a part of our school community, and we should embrace that. You know, I heard that there are people within the Paradise Valley section of the Creighton Elementary School District who don't even know that they're part of the Creighton Elementary School District. Well, this name change will strengthen the connection that they have to our school. They would be more likely to support our school if it is named after a community within which they live. There's lots of good reasons for this name change, and I think another time, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Laura Calderon.
Good evening, Governing Board, Dr. Boyle, Dr. Wagner. I'm Laura Calderon. You should know my face. I talked to you the last meeting because I can't reach the microphone. I am in support of the name change. I live at 4708 North 35th Place. We walk to school when it's cool. I am a kindergartner at SPTA, and I'm in support of the name change. I just wanted to do two quick points because you've heard me before. History is all about going forward, not going backwards. And if we take history and go backwards, we're going backwards to the days when we were busing kids in to try to fill the seats. We don't want that. We want to fill the seats with people that are excited about the FLY program, excited about what we are doing, the curriculum changes that we have made. We want our students to be excited about going to school. And it's all about our students. Personally, I don't care about the community. I care about what's happening in my son's classroom every single day. And that's what's important. That's why the parents that are here want this name change. We have the kids in the classroom. We want the kids in the classroom to be getting the best education that they can. We have other choices. I never, ever thought my kid would be at Squaw Peak Traditional Academy. If you had asked me a year ago. I had him enrolled in 2 private schools. But the FLY program and the changes that this school has come to in the last year have made my husband and I say, we need to take a look at this school. We need to get our son in that classroom. Principal Ordemek and the board are doing a great job. I can't tell you how impressed I am. When I first moved into the neighborhood, I wouldn't even look at the school. Now it has changed my eyes. And so if I go on history, I would have never stepped foot on this campus. And now my son goes there, and my little girl's at the Little Big Minds preschool.